To JoyNews Room at 1. I am Emefa Akosiadete. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana marks the final farewell of the Highlife icon Daddy Lumba, whose death has triggered months of legal disputes, family tensions and last-minute court injunctions. Also in the bulletin, convener of the One Ghana movement condemns chaotic scenes in Parliament following controversy over the Pandai seat, describing the action as inappropriate.
There's some bickering going on in Parliament, and you guys must start rising above it and stop acting like children. You're acting like kids. There should be some adult in the room and make sure there's proper order in Parliament.
We'll bring you details as the Member of Parliament for Swami says it was within their right to protest the decision, and as well in the bulletin, officials from the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, sealed and locked up Popular Lounge and Pub Cloud9 in Osu on the Oxford Street Friday night.
We've reached a stage where GRA is working in the night and will ensure that taxpayers who work in the night, work into the night and during the night will also comply as taxpayers that work during the day.
This is JoyNews, where independent, fearless and credible. Please stay for details. Thank you for staying with us. First in the news, Ghana marks the final farewell of the Highlife icon Daddy Lumba, whose death has triggered months of legal disputes, family tensions and last-minute court injunctions. From competing widows to palace interventions, preparations for the legendary musician's burial have unfolded in dramatic twist and crippled the nation today as his final farewell is being held at the Bakpa Sports Stadium. We look at the life, the legacy and the turmoil surrounding the final journey of Ghana's most decorated Highlife musician, Charles Kojifusu. Take you to the Ashanti region, specifically the Bakpa Sports Stadium, where my colleague Nana Boachi is on standby. Nana, particularly at the funeral grounds, what's happening? What's the mood in the at other grounds? I'll try and reconnect with Nana Boachi because we're unable to hear you. But if you can hear me, you are at the funeral grounds. Is it what we expected? How is it going? Who are they showing up to pay their final respect to the icon?
We are live from the Bakpa Sports Stadium. Here is the Heroes Park, and this is where the final funeral rites of the legendary Ghanaian musician Charles Kojifusu is taking place. And the place is a bit quiet this time around because the first session of the funeral has ended. It ended a while ago, and from where you see, or what you see on your screen, is where the casket of the late musician Daddy Lumba was placed for the general public, his family, to bid farewell to. As I speak to you, the second part of the funeral is expected to begin right after the family bury him at his resting place, where we have been told will be at Mampo in Suta. And after that, all of them would make their way to the Heroes Park for the second session of the funeral. Earlier on, we had the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Kamwakohini, and then the National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedunketia, all coming to pay their last respect. The members of the East Legon Executive Club were all here. We've seen businessmen, musicians who have all come to sympathize with the family. His brother, whom he started this musical journey with, Nana Ampedu, has also come here. We've been told that other musicians are also going to come in to join the funeral in no time. That is supposed to be somewhere around 2 p.m. But you can see a lot of supporters are already seated on my left and on my right all of them are sympathizers and lovers of Daddy Lumba's music. It is fair to say that the legendary musician who once sang Makramo, that is I Bid Farewell, is today receiving his own goodbye. And that is why hundreds of people have gathered here to sympathize with the family. His wife, one of the wives of the Priscilla Ofori, has come in to perform the widowhood rites already. We have the family head, Abusia Penyi Kofi Wusu, who has also been here to join the family in this dying moments. We have to engage some of the supporters who are seated and find out from them how this moment gets to reflect on the things that they heard about Lumba and even the experiences they had with him and his music. Can you tell me something small about the legendary Charles Kojofosu, his music, his life, and what he means to you as a lover of his music?
Yeah, myself, I'm also a musician. I play bass guitar, drums, and what have you. But we live with Daddy Lumba because I've lived with Daddy Lumba's song through my childhood period. Somewhere in 1989, I was still alive. And so Daddy Lumba has been a powerful musician to all of us. If I'm not mistaken, or if I'm not missing words, he will be remembered as the greatest of all time in Ghanaian music. And so the kind of categorization of his songs that we use for funerals, he's there. Songs of expressing love, he's there. Songs of comforting, he's there. Every aspect of life, Lumba can get you a song that will move you. He played a song for our dear mothers. Nyamin Shrama is one of the songs that captivated so much. It took many Ghanaians from the days of we not recognizing what women has done. And then it is one of the songs that has really brought up Mother's Day celebration, Nyamin Shrama. And I will remember Lumba for that.
And if you talk about such a legend and then proud to this funeral, the controversies that came up, as a lover of music and somebody who does music yourself, how did it come to you? It
was something that's what I'm saying, that you'll be remembered. Your songs has always been controversial. The best songs, the best artists ever lived in Ghana. And then after your funeral too, the whole brouhaha all add up to make you the legend. Even after your death, the issue that is surrounding your burial system, everything goes to tell that he's really a legend. And this is what will give us a lot of talkability after the burial service, and months to come, we'll still be having discussions on that. So for me, everything that has happened, proud to his death, after the death, and then today, it all good for his name, let me say.
Tell me one thing you remember Daddy Lumba for, before I end with you, one thing you remember Daddy Lumba for.
One thing I remember Daddy Lumba for, that it is only him that was able to host a program and brought both President Kufuor and President Jerry John Rawlings together and had them to exchange presents. For a long time, we understood that they had very serious differences, political differences. But Daddy Lumba was able to host a program. He sang and made them shake hands. They loved together, they danced together. Madam Teresa Kufuor and Mama Jimakwedu, they all danced together. That was the moment that I felt that Lumba will go down in our history as the biggest artist, musician in Ghana. So for me, for him to have brought President Kufuor and President Rawlings together on one stage, for them to hug each other, talk to each other, that was one thing that I will remember Lumba for.
All right, thank you very much. Let's speak to another person here. Mommy, and I go say Daddy Lumba. Open in your palm.
Daddy Lumba do my favorite pa. Then when I be I'm a pan my sport. It's what we and many play. I do me say Diloto one.
So how Diloto one?
Me Diloto 4 million. I want no. Lumba dear.
What did any try?
Me de now you know. That no who you know. And on the date of birth.
Okay, now come home. The who you any date of birth and a farmer. And they all corner then at the back kind of.
The back kind is say. Then you know add the mayan. Yeah, you don't feel you more that. Then you know I say mommy see me back with Joe. Me no open the and not on the back.
You better ask boss, my no so Kasai. And Daddy Lumba Cordena the Becaino.
Oh, Daddy Lumba, they said, you know, maybe never kind. Because then you mean I have foot. And yeah, the air boy youth in a quiet banner. And
so these are some of the words that we've heard from the supporters of Daddy Lumba. They've shared some of the memories that he had and the impact he had on them, and some of them are saying that his music is going to resonate with them day in and day out, even as he's been buried today. We have the family stands, and that is where we have the family head, Abusia Penny Kofi Wusu, where he is seated. But then even before we walk to that part, you can see that this place is a bit empty. But earlier on, when the first section was being held, I can tell you that hundreds of people were gathered all over this place. It was a very busy place to walk through, unlike now, where all of them have joined the family to the cemetery to bury the late Charles Kojo Fosu. This is where we have the family stands and the seats for other supporters who are coming in to join the family mourn Daddy Lumba. We're being told that in the afternoon we'll have the arrival of the former president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the arrival of political parties, representatives including the New Patriotic Party, and also other dignitaries from the NDC will join the second session of the funeral. We're also being told that currently the president might not come, but he's also going to send his own delegation, which will be different from what we saw earlier. That is not going to be the same as what we witnessed with Johnson and Sedgwick and the regional minister come. That is what we are being told, and the family is making preparations for that. And the supporters who are supposed to leave and come later have decided to stay and wait up until 2 p.m. for the funeral itself, and then they pay their last tribute and last respect to Charles Kojo Fosu, the legendary Highlife musician Daddy Lumba. He has been described by many as the greatest musician of all time. 4 decades of consistency, 4 decades of being true to his lyrics and to his own words. And in that period, or during those periods of giving us back-to-back Highlife music, he stayed on track and was consistent. He had always made a word or given out some form of motivation to young people with his songs. But today, the same person was motivating us to earn money, to respect women, and to also live good is no more. And there is the same person that today we are preparing this grounds for after he's been sent to the cemetery. We've been told that currently the family head is not here. He's also joining the delegation to the cemetery. And so MFM, this is what is happening here at the Heroes Park Bakpa Sports Stadium, with hundreds of supporters and lovers of Daddy Lumba still seated, awaiting the second session of his burial service. Some of them we've spoken to are enthused, they are happy about the preparations and then today's funeral taking place. They say that Daddy Lumba's words, his music will ring in their minds because it was significant and played an important role in their lives. These are some of the responses we've had from some of the people that we've spoken to here at the Heroes Park MFM. Over to you.
It's proving he will be the greatest of all that has lived as a monk here in Ghana. And you want to stay with us on all of our social media platforms and even our subsequent bulletins. We shall bring you every minute from the Heroes Park at the Bakpa Sports Stadium. Moving away from that, the convener of the One Ghana movement, Senyo Hosi, has condemned the chaotic scenes that erupted in Parliament following controversy over the Pandai seat, describing the conduct as mere bickering unworthy of the House. The disruption occurred when minority members of Parliament demanded the adjournment of proceedings after Speaker Alban Bagbin deferred his ruling on the Pandai seat vacancy and ordered the House to continue with the day's business. The protest degenerated into shouting and table banging on the floor of the chamber. Speaking on Newsfile today on the JoyNews channel, Senyo Hosi described the scenes as shameful and inappropriate, insisting that Parliament must remain a place of reasoned debate, not disorder.
I'm not somebody who subscribes to that kind of conduct. I agree with you any day you are entitled to some form of protest. But when you're putting that thing on live TV, and you have our children, your children, and our children's children see our parents act this way, what kind of governance are we trying to communicate to the world? It's not something anybody sitting here would ever condone. let's be careful. There's some bickering going on in Parliament, and you guys must start rising above it and stop acting like children. You're acting like kids. There should be some adult in the room and make sure there's proper order in Parliament. People watch you on live TV, and you guys are supposed to be the creme de la creme as far as governance in this country is concerned. We learn from you. The tone of this country is driven by what we see. You are the leaders of the country. You can't come and defend us here. You should be apologizing to us, the people, for misconducting yourselves.
He further suggested that the recurring incidents of chaos in the House reflect poorly on the Speaker's tenure, arguing that Speaker Bagman risks ending his term on a negative note if such conduct continues.
See, look at what happened during the vetting. Has there been accountability since then?
Yeah.
Where is it?
They set up a committee.
You understand? And where did that end? Because they know that we will talk about it 1 week, 2 weeks, and it's dead. That is the kind of parliament that we are nurturing. And frankly, it is telling on the leadership that we are getting from Honorable Bagman. He's ending on a bad note. This is his last term. He's never going to be speaker again. And if he doesn't bring proper order and bring in a parliament that has a lot of new people, shape the culture for governance and for posterity's sake, we are not getting that from him as speaker.
However, the Member of Parliament for Swami, John Darko, has defended the minority's actions, maintaining that the MPs were within their right to protest the Speaker's decision.
A right that
was disruptive.
No, it wasn't. It was a right that we properly exercised. Look, I think what is wrong, what we should condemn, is the fact that in spite of our protest, they sought. And I would say sometimes even illegally to do business, and because we had committee reports that were not signed, that were taken. I mean, they used only one microphone and they were doing all kinds of things. You should condemn that. And sometimes it's only okay when, you feel that it's okay to criticize a minority. You should criticize the majority for the position they took. You should also talk about how the Speaker presided over that chaos. Something maybe he should have adjourned. He felt that he wanted to do what he felt was okay for that.
Meanwhile, a member of the NDC Legal and Communication Committee, Victor Kojoga Adawuda, criticized the manner of the protest, stating that the minority could have expressed their disagreement through more appropriate parliamentary means rather than resorting to disorderly conduct.
That it doesn't augur well for us at all. My language may be a bit stronger. The Gans have a saying that Onipa Beshiano, ow. It just to which is that is no adult or adults in the house. There are tools of protest in Parliament, and it is accepted. But I don't think that these tools are steeped in violence. They are not steeped in violence that you can be banging the tables.
Away from Parliament, officials from the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, sealed and locked a popular lounge on Pub Cloud 9 in Osu on the Oxford Street Friday night. The operation follows the inability of the operators to register and pay for value-added tax, VAT, and other obligations after several calls since establishment. The team also confiscated system units, unauthorized receipt books, and some pub operators during the operation. Here's more.
The enforcement, which began on Friday night, ended early hours of Saturday morning, where other nightclubs, pubs, and grocery shops in the Greater Accra region were visited to ascertain their tax compliance. The move by the authority is part of the night market economy operations aimed at ensuring compliance by businesses operating in the night. National Coordinator for the Night Market Economy, Chief Revenue Officer Alpha Senanu, has been speaking to Joy Business.
Particularly at Cloud 9, this is a taxpayer that has been difficult to even identify whether it is registered with us. This is the fourth time we've been here, and for the fourth time we have sealed off the premises. It's a taxpayer we invited to our office in 2023. They declined, they didn't come. This year we've given them 3 invitations, and all that they do not attend to our invitation. So top management has taken a decision that we come and seal off the premises as as an indication to other taxpayers that if you don't comply with the tax laws, GRA has the law behind it to seal off your premises.
The team also visited Liquid Pub in Nungwa, Chrisberry Nightclub and Restaurant, Space Station Pub and Nightclub in Nungwa, Italian Boy Restaurant and Pub, Shawarma Factory at the Spintex Marina Mall, among others. The coordinator also disclosed that the areas visited have become notorious for non-tax compliant because most of them operate in the night where regular working hours is over for the GRA.
We've reached a stage where GRA is working in the night and will ensure that taxpayers who work in the night, work into the night and during the night will also comply as taxpayers that work during the day. Because during the day, we are able to enforce compliance. But when it comes to the night businesses, for some time, we've not been enforcing compliance as we should do. Now, GRA is up. And under the 24-hour economy, we will ensure compliance on taxpayers who are also operating in the evening.
The team seized unauthorized receipt books and invited managers of the non-compliant operators for further questioning after discovering that most of them had no permission to use those books, whilst others also failed to register for tax purposes.
Now, still on compliance, the Cybersecurity Authority, in collaboration with national security operatives, has arrested 32 Nigerian nationals during a coordinated operation at Kaswa in the early hours of today. Investigations indicate that the group was operating a cybercrime ring focused on romance fraud, targeting victims primarily in Thailand and Japan. The joint operation led to the seizure of 31 laptops and 15 mobile phones, which are believed to have been used in the execution of the illicit activities. The suspects have been taken into custody to assist with ongoing investigations, while the seized devices are undergoing forensic analysis. Officials say the operations forms a part of a sustained national effort to clamp down on cybercrime and related offences. The Cybersecurity Authority has reaffirmed its commitment to working closely with security agencies to protect Ghana's digital space and has urged the public to remain vigilant and report suspicious activities to the appropriate authorities. As well in the bulletin, patriotic journalist against Galamsey has pledged to support the national fight against illegal mining through sustained media monitoring, investigation and public accountability. The group says it will highlight progress, expose concealment, and draw attention to any setback in efforts to protect Ghana's environment. Speaking at a press briefing in Accra and the group, Executive Director Nana Utu Dako urged media practitioners to treat Galamsey as a national survival issue rather than a political debate, citing the widespread destruction of the forest belts and water bodies. The coalition also called on governments to maintain political will, ensure adequate resourcing, and keep channels open for collaboration, announcing plans to officially launch the group soon with details and operational roadmap.
PAJAC pledges its full partnership. Our pens, microphones, cameras, and platforms, for those of us who are in the print media, we will use Medium as well as production teams to serve as additional eyes and ears for NIBUS and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Where there is concealment, we will expose. Where there is courage, we will amplify. Where there is progress, we will celebrate, and where there is backsliding, we will not keep quiet. To our colleagues in the media, you know I'm a journalist with a career firm, so to fellow colleagues present here, this is not the time to be neutral. Not at all. The destruction of our water bodies and farmlands is not a political story, it is a survival story, and it threatens the very existence of our livelihood. Let us write it with the urgency it deserves. With over 84 major forest belts, 44 has been destroyed, equal to about 7,776 football pitches. That is the extent of damage that our forest belt and river bodies have been ravaged. So it's such a serious matter.
Now, the Regional Minister Joseph Adey Akwabwa has stated that the traditional approach So education and skills development is no longer sufficient to meet the demands of the 21st century. Addressing the 18th congregation of the Sunyani Technical University, he stressed that students must cultivate innovative mindset and enable continuous skill learning to enhance employability and contribute to global development. Precious Semevo has more.
A total of 1,896 students graduated at the 18th congregation of the Sunyani Technical University, out of which 690 were females. The graduates received master's degree, first degree and diplomas across 4 faculties. The Vice-Chancellor, Engineer Professor Kwadwo Dinkrapia, highlighted the challenges that come with the university's current student population of 10,125, including inadequate lecture halls, hostel facilities, and a poor internal road network. He appealed to President John Mahama for urgent support. The Vice-Chancellor urged the graduates to be intentional about post-school plans and move beyond the mindset of seeking jobs.
You are leaving this institution not just as job seekers, but as job creators, and also as individuals equipped with creativity, discipline, and resilience to transform ideas into enterprises. If you cannot do it alone, dare to form partnerships with your friends and relatives, and with determination, you will succeed. Make little savings right from here, and do not hesitate to take soft loans at lower or no interest rates from your friends and relatives to start your own businesses.
Speaking on the theme, Sustainable Skills Development for Global Job Creation and Employment, the Bono Regional Minister, Joseph Adaya Kwabwa, noted that graduate unemployment remains a major challenge despite government interventions. He charged the students to shift from traditional learning methods to an innovative approach to enhance employability.
As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, it's clear that the traditional approach to education and skill building is no longer sufficient. The question is no longer just about acquiring skills for a job. It is about cultivating a mindset that enables individuals to continuously learn, innovate, and thrive in an ever-changing world. In this regard, sustainable skills and development are no longer a choice, but a necessity for global job creation and employability.
The 2025 valedictorian was Marvin Osayasari from the Procurement and Supply Chain Management Department. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
Stakeholders are demanding a clearer citizenship pathway, stronger conflict resolution structures, and inclusive governance to tackle long-standing challenges facing Fulbe communities in Ghana. They want the limited access to key documents like the Ghana card, birth certificate, passports, and health insurance continues to restrict mobility and essential services. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugeri reports.
The two-day conference organized by Kojinta with support from the European Union brought together stakeholders to deliberate on issues of identity, citizenship, land governance, livelihood, stereotyping, and social cohesion in hindering the Fulbe community. Presenting the communique, the President of Council of Fulbe Chiefs Ghana, Chief Derisa Bengal, stressed the importance of including gender and youth perspective in peace-building initiative.
We therefore recognize that land tenure, insecurity, and commercialization are major drivers of farmer-hider conflicts. We therefore call for documentation and formal registration of grazing lands, education on customary protocols and segregation on diverse land rights.
It further recognized the damaging impact of negative stereotypes that link Fulbe communities to crime and violent extremism.
We recognize the damaging impact of negative stereotypes that link Fulbe communities to crime and violent extremism. Such narratives erode trust, fuel discrimination, and undermine national cohesion.
The council president urged the NCCE and the GJA to reform reporting standards.
We therefore recommend that the National Commission for Civic Education, National Media Commission, and the Ghana Journalists Association and other relevant state institutions should reform reporting standards, adopt and enforce editorial guidelines that prohibit
Now, an official bungalow in Tichima North left to rot for 8 years after a change in government is finally getting a lifeline. District Chief Executive Adam Kabna-Johnson says the abandoned structure will be completed within 6 months to end what residents describe as a symbol of waste. Bono East Regional Correspondent Anas Sabit reports.
They stand silent in our communities, concrete skeletons, monuments to promises made and then forgotten. Behind me is what locals have come to call the Ghost Bungalow. Commissioned nearly a decade ago, it was meant to be a dignified residence for the district chief executive. Instead, for 8 years, it has served as a stark daily reminder of wasted resources and political discontinuity. The project began under one administration but was left to the elements following the change of government in the year 2017. As the years passed, the elements won, roofs leaked, floors cracked, and nature reclaimed the compound. The district chief executive Adam Kabna-Johnson calls it a painful symbol.
This project is meant to be the residence for the district chief executive. Started in 2013-2014. Scheduled to be completed in 2016, but unfortunately, the former chief executive, Honorable Anthony Kwakumanu, could not complete until the previous NDC government lost power to the MPP. And for the past 8 years that they were in power, this project did not get any attention from them.
The push to complete this bungalow is part of a broader national directive to audit and finish the so-called legacy projects. But here in Tichima North, the DCE says the impact will be immensely local as the move will help save money for the assembly.
We are all saying that it is not proper for us because if, for example, in 2017 or 2018, we could have used, for example, 500,000 Ghana cedi to complete. Today, time value of money. A cedi today is not the same cedi tomorrow. We can't use that same 500,000 Ghana cedi. It will be more. That is why it is imperative that I do it now to save the nation.
Some assembly members spoke to Joy News. What we saw today is quite worrying. How a project like this has been left to rot for more than 8 years is something that is very, very disturbing. Government building like this, built with our own money, has been abandoned. It's worrying. But if you complete it, take the credit for continuity. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Chobodong.
On to some health-related stories. Neglected tropical diseases remain one of Africa's most persistent health threats, hitting rural and impoverished communities the hardest. Ahead of the 2026 Ramaphosa Media Forum, the World Health Organization warns the continent may miss key global targets without urgent coordinated actions. There's more in this report.
In many rural communities across Africa, preventable diseases continue to rob families of their health and livelihoods. The most notorious, called neglected tropical diseases, NTDs, are a cluster of preventable infections most common where poverty, poor sanitation, and limited healthcare access converge. According to the WHO, these diseases still affect 1 billion people worldwide, with Africa bearing the greatest burden.
Neglected tropical diseases, they affect the poorest people in the world, and in Africa particular, they have like the face of the people that live in rural communities, in areas where they don't necessarily have the visibility.
From intestinal worms to river blindness, elephantiasis among others, these diseases continue to drive mortality and disability across the continent. But progress is real. WHO data shows a major drop in global infections from 1.9 billion people in 1990 to 1 billion by 2021. Annual deaths have also reduced from 139,000 in 2015 to 119,000 by 2021. Interventions have expanded. By 2024, 1.5 billion people were receiving treatment supported by long-standing pharmaceutical donations and national health campaigns. 58 countries have already eliminated at least one NTD, with Togo removing 4, a global milestone.
One of our targets was that we were going to see 90% of people no longer requiring interventions between 2010 and 2030. As of today, we are in 32% of people no longer requiring interventions. That is not necessarily a very good progress, what means that by 2030 we are not going to meet the 90%. But nevertheless, it means that in 2010 we had 2 billion people, more than 2,000 million people requiring treatment against NTDs. And there has been a decrease of almost 700 million people that no longer require interventions against neglected tropical diseases because we have been able to release them from these diseases. They are free of the disease and they no longer have to worry about the presence of these diseases.
However, the world remains far off the 2030 target of ensuring 90% of people no longer require NTD interventions. Current progress stands at just 32%, far below the ambitions set in WHO's global roadmap. Funding gaps and weak systems remain major obstacles.
Thanks to the commitment of some pharmaceutical donors, more than 25 years ago, there has been donations of medicines that have enabled us to start strategies to control and eliminate these diseases at community level.
Dr. Robelo Polo stresses that communities must take ownership of sanitation and treatment adherence. But she also places responsibility on the media, especially African journalists, to keep NTDs on the agenda and drive the accountability needed to eradicate the disease of the poorest.
Donors have to step back and use their funding catalytically to support governments, to trust governments and give the money to be really flexible with them and be requiring accountability, but not necessarily micromanaging the way the funds are utilized. And we all need to share responsibility in the roles we have, starting from media, from WHO, from each of us have a role on ensuring that these diseases of the poorest of the poor actually disappear from our planet.
The 2026 Rimavson Media Forum will gather newsrooms from across the continent to strengthen the role of journalists in this effort as Africa pushes towards the 2030 elimination targets. A report by Amafa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli for Joy News.
You're watching Newsroom with me, Emefa Akosiadeti. Please stay. There's more after this. Thank you for staying with us. This is Joy News Room. Now, the people of Bakpa Newtown in the Central Town District of the Volta region are preparing for a week-long celebration of culture, unity and community development as the annual Klokpo Festival begins on Monday, celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Bakpa traditional area. The festival, popularly known as the Bakpa Klokpo Festival, promotes heritage, strengthens communal bonds, and supports local development initiatives. And as operations intensify, Yao Ameko, a member of the organizing committee, joins us to share what this year's celebration holds for the community. And Yao, thank you for joining us this afternoon. First, what does the Klokpo Festival mean to the people of Bakpa?
Thank you very much, MFA. Well, it means the festival means a lot.
It's what gives the Bakpa people, that true identity. We have a week-long program that we have themed our health, our heritage, building together for a stronger Bakpa. But it's actually the opportunity where every son, every citizen, every daughter of Bakpa comes together so that we can get together and then think about ourselves as a people, enjoy our identity, and then come together to contribute for the development of our community.
Well, 1 week is quite comprehensive. This will mean that each day and its activity, you want to run us through some of the highlights of the week, and which one of the days is the most important to the community?
Well, it basically starts today. I would say that Saturday, which is the 20th of December, that's probably maybe the crescendo of the entire celebration, because that's the day that we actually do the Grand Deba. But my favorite, it's a Friday afternoon where we do Tokoyi. The chiefs and people walk from the community center, we call it the New Bakpa Town Park, and then go all the way to the riverside and then do some prayers. But the trip, it's a really, really nice one. I try not to miss it every year, but I can walk you through, the entire program. It starts today, and then our chiefs and elders are crossing the river to Old Bakpa, where they would pour libation and perform rituals that basically mark the beginning of the festival. It would continue tomorrow all the way through, I would say, the 23rd. So it's literally a 10-day festivity, but the apex is typically the week. So we're thinking from Monday next week all the way through Saturday. That's where you see a lot of activities. There is a gala programs that will be done, a lot of football for the young people. There will be beauty pageants. There will be cooking competition. But like I said, Friday, there will be Tokoyi, where literally all the indigenes of Bakpa are walking all the way to the river. The chiefs and elders, they do some prayers, and then people dip their feet in the water, and then they are blessed that way. And then we'll cap it with the Grand Deba. The regional minister, Mr. James, Honorable James Gono, is expected to attend. The MP for Central Tongue, Alexander Roosevelt Gabi Hotoje, is supposed to be there, and several other dignitaries are expected to be in attendance. Are you hoping to raise some revenue for some particular projects in the community this year? Yes. So there is the team basically speaks about it. We're trying to focus on health. So we're trying to build a health center and then a bungalow. The health center is already ongoing, but then there is a grand bungalow we're building so that health workers can be in that. So we're trying to raise a lot of money, and then whatever we raise is supposed to be applied towards that project. Well, I give you some few seconds to at least invite the indigents and all well-wishers to this festival. Yeah, thank you very much. The Bakpa people are scattered, across the country, all the way in the Volta region, in the Afram Plains. A lot of our people in Accra, and then the Accra Plains, Kaswa. I want to use this opportunity to just encourage everybody. We're doing a lot of announcements, but try as best as you can. I know people are going to work, but just make time, get to New Bakpa by Friday so that we can all go to the riverside, and then we mark the Grand Deba on Saturday, December 20th. Thank you very much, Emifa. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us on JoyNews Room as well. I definitely will see you on Friday.